Prayers.
Almighty God, who in thy wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and parliament for the welfare of society and just government of men, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servant whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of important trust in this land. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this house assembled. Grant us that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner, to promote thy honor and glory, to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this country and of those whose interest thou hast committed to our church. Amen.
Correction and approval of records of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15th March 2023.
Honorable members, the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 is before us for correction and approval. Can any honorable member please move that the said record of votes and proceedings be considered and approved? Member for Tumanna.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I rise to move the motion for the correction and approval of records of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sittings of Wednesday, 15 March 2023. Thank you.
Member for Lower Salum.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 be approved. Any corrections or observations? We will begin with the corrections by looking at page by page. Now on page 1. If any honorable member have any observation or correction to make, may do so. On page 1, in the absence of any, can we move to page 2? On this page, page 1. Can we go back to page 1? The Assembly convened 54 minutes. It's, you know, have you seen 54 minutes? It should be 54 minutes after 10 o'clock. The after is missing. That's on page 1. Page 2. Any observation or proposal for amendment on page 2? There are none. Can we move to page 3? Member for Tumanna.
Yes, just to make clarification, I am on page 1, prayers number 1, number 2, and number 3. Then the list of the ministers who were here yesterday, I'm thinking that maybe that of the petroleum minister should not be included because he was not here. I don't know.
No. It's correct.
The standing order 36 and 41 questioned by the following. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Page 4. The member for Fonyi Bondali.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Page 4, question 087. It was read by the Honorable Member for Fonyi Councillor, not Fonyi Bintankaranai, and was read on his behalf. It should be on her behalf.
Question number what?
087. Page 4.
Page 4.
Yes.
The fourth item on page 4. That's question number 087.
Yeah.
By the Honorable Member for Fonyi Brefet.
Yeah.
Was asked on his behalf by the Honorable Member for Fonyi
Councillor.
It should be Fonyi Councillor, not Fonyi Bintankaranai.
And the same thing.
On page 5.
Oh, still on the same page. Page 4. 088, the same thing. It should be was read on her behalf and then by the Honorable Member for Fonyi Councillor, not Fonyi Bintankaranai.
Have you noted down his concerns? That is question number 087. Instead of the member for Fonyi Brefet, it should read member for Fonyi Councillor, and was asked on her behalf, not on his behalf. Same should apply to question number 088. Same amendment. Thank you. Page 5. Member for 𝒂𝒊𝒔. On page 5.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The last line down, at 24 minutes after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the Assembly was adjourned until Thursday, 16 March. It should be 2023, not 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. On page 5, below the line, at 24 minutes after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the Assembly was adjourned until Thursday, 16 March 2023, instead of 2022. Any order? The member for Fonyi Councillor.
I don't know whether I'm not seeing clearly. For consistency purposes, let's look at question number 044/2023.
Which page?
The 5th page. Then the rest will read as 2022, 2022,
No.
2022.
Honorable Member?
Yes, page 5.
You said page 5.
The last question, question number 044/2023. Then when you look at the rest of the questions, 0257, 0256, 0255, 0254, and 0253 are all 2022. I don't know.
Yes, some of those questions were submitted. Can you please put off your mic? They were submitted in 2022. If your question is submitted 2022, and for whatever reason it wasn't asked and answered in 2022 and answered in 2023, it will still be considered to be 2022 question. Thank you. Any further? Any other more? I think that does it. It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceeding of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 be approved. I have to take it again. It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceeding of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 be approved with amendment. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Clerk, you may proceed. Honorable members, before us today is the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources, who will be tabling two motions, which the opinions are interrelated. And on that note, I would want us to consolidate the two motions for them to be moved at once so that we can debate on them simultaneously. That's my proposal. I'm not sure if that is the consensus from the honorable members. Can we do that, honorable members? All right. Thank you.
Motions. Be it resolved that this August Assembly do consider and ratify the Convention on the Law of Non-Navigable Uses of International Watercourses, 1997 Watercourses Convention, by the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources. 2. Be it resolved that this August Assembly do consider and ratify the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes done in Helsinki on the 17th March 1992 by the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, like the Speaker said, my request is that we consolidate both conventions, since the two conventions share substantive norms. The reason is that to equitably and reasonably utilization of water courses, take all appropriate measures not to cause significant harm to another state, protect ecosystem of an international water course, etc. Mr. Speaker, I would want to move that be it resolved that this August Assembly do consider and ratify the Convention on the Law of Non-Navigational Uses of International Water Courses, which was signed in 1997 by the Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources, and also to ratify the Convention on the Protection and the Use of Transboundary Water Courses and International Lakes done at Helsinki on the 17th of March 1992 by the Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources. Honorable Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to call your attention to the fact that at its first meeting of January 2022, Cabinet approved the following water conventions to be presented before this August body for ratification. And they are, as I read before, the above conventions cover international surface or underground freshwater courses shared by two or more states and serve as mechanism to strengthen international cooperation. The conventions embody a number of principles on equitable and reasonable utilization and obligation not to cause significant harm, the general obligation to cooperate, regular exchange of data and information, notification and response relating to planned measures, protection and preservation of ecosystem, prevent, reduce and control pollution, introduction of alien or new species and protection and preservation of the aquatic environment. Benefits derived from the two conventions. Accession to the Water Convention would demonstrate the Gambia's willingness to cooperate on the basis of transboundary norms and standards. The country would automatically earn recognition of all the actors in the international community for adhering to certain rules and standards. 2. Accession to the 1992 Water Convention would allow the Gambia the opportunity to ease suffering from frequent flash and riverine floods or droughts by tapping assistance of the convention programs relating to the adaptation to climate change or on transboundary flood management, as well as activities on dam safety and the water, food, energy ecosystem nexus. 3. 1992 and 1997 water conventions would allow the Gambia to access support from the convention in establishing such agreements and bodies or strengthening existing ones. 4. The implementation of obligations, especially the obligation aimed at prevention, control, and reduction of significant transboundary impact, is crucial for the Gambia as downstream riparian state with respect to its prominent transboundary basin, the River Gambia Basin. 5. Parties to the 1992 Water Convention may benefit from the use of Convention Trust Fund, which provides for technical support to parties, particularly to promote and implement the Convention through studies and pilot projects, as well as for support to participation of experts in workshops and training organized within the framework of the Convention. The consensus was that the Gambia needs to ratify the international conventions. 6. The two water conventions are in line with the Constitution of the Gambia at Section 2154D, protecting the environment of the nation for prosperity, at Section 2164. The states shall endeavor to facilitate equal access to clean and safe water, adequate health and medical services, habitable shelter, sufficient food and security to all persons. Water Convention supports aspiration of the validated Supplementary Agriculture and Natural Resources Policy 2017 to 2026, which calls for regional cooperation in sustainable management of the shared water resources. It also emphasizes the need to expedite the water sector reform with a draft Gambia Water Bill that would enhance effective water policy implementation to minimize water conflict and promote cooperation among the various users and uses. 8. The principles of the two conventions support the Gambia's obligation as a party to the convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, CEDAW 1979, which the Gambia ratified in 1993. 9. To end it all, the Gambia is once again being reminded of her national commitment to upcoming water conference as part of the water action agenda for the coming water conference slated for this March in New York, which I'll be attending together with a member of the Select Committee of the National Assembly for Environment and Water Resources. Mr. Speaker, with these justifications, I beg to move.
Any seconder? The member for Kantora and Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion being moved by the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources. Honorable Speaker, before us here lies two conventions. A convention on law of non-navigable use of water courses, and also a convention on, do you call them international waters or transboundary waters? These are words that are interused, but they mean the same thing. Transboundary water courses of international lakes and even underground waters as well. As a nation, Gambia seeks to benefit a lot when we ratify this convention, putting into account we are endowed and blessed with a natural resource that is the ocean, which is part and parcel of international waters or water boundary. Honorable Speaker, with the emergence of offshore exploration, there are a series of offshore activities now happening in terms of area of gas exploration, crude oil exploration. I think Gambia as a country, time has come for us to look at these things to make sure we are somewhat protected by the exercise or activities at offshore level. Not only that, the challenge of the current global arena is issue of climate change. And climate change is not only rainfall patterns, but of course, the erosion, the drainages that we normally found very uncommon or unusual to our environment are the result of misuse or abuse of water resources. So I think as a country, we will be in the right direction in terms of ratifying this convention so that we can bargain, so that we can also put our mouth where the cake is, so that we can have our full respect and full share. And also, not only that, in terms of membership also, there are certain contributions that membership does at the level of the convention that if we are in crisis, they could use those opportunities to come to our aid. If you look at Article 1 on the Convention on Protection of and Use of the Transboundary Waters, it says that transboundary water means any surface or groundwater which mark across or located at the boundary between two or more states. Wherever transboundary waters flow directly into the area of sea, the boundary waters at the end of the straits line across the respective mouth between two on the low water line of the banks. Unless a landlocked state, this will not really apply in a country that's landlocked. But a country that is almost open to an ocean, I think we have every reason why for us to have a proper laws in place, proper convention in place. So in case, if a country A is exploring their water, be it hydroelectric exploration like a dam project, but in the course of exploring those hydroelectric activities in the waters are also causing harm, though it's in the best interest of the country to power their country, but in the process, there are no significant measures that are put in place to make sure that the effect is not triggered on the other side. So the state B can always take up this opportunity that I think your exploration is really causing harm to our environment, and I will seek for redress. So basically, these are things that we need to know as a parliament, that is in the best interest of the country, is also in the best interest of our state. So basically, also I found this particular part very interesting, that is issue of prevention and controls and reduction on page 4, that is Article 3. So there are a series of preventive mechanisms that both states has to come into agreement, whereby the issue of emission of pollution is prevented and control of the use of water applications in the inter alia low and non-waste technology. The issue of waste, the issue of also, now we have seen the proliferation of plastic bottles or plastic waste that are being dumped in the sea. And this has been a concern for the environmentalists who have been crying every day that human activity, human nature toward natural resources is really uncalled for. And these are issues that we will put in place to make sure that we try to mitigate this nonchalant attitude, this I don't care attitude of human interaction with nature, to preserve this planet for generations yet unborn. It's important that when we are leaving this planet or departing, we add more value than to leave it deteriorated for generations unborn. So these are right move in the right direction. I so much appreciate the Article 3 in terms of prevention and control of pollution in our environment. And of course, Article 4 about the monitoring aspect. How do we monitor? It's not about only one state. Both states can also monitor the activities within their boundary. And interesting part of it is that there is that high degree of sharing information. But of course, there is issue of secrecy in terms of what you give. But there is a high degree of exchanging best practices, exchanging best information, and what really happened in your level and at the level of bilateral and multilateral cooperation level. So without wasting more time, I want to give my full support and of course avail on the other members to support this convention. Thank you so much for your indulgence.
Thank you very much, Member for Kantora and Majority Leader. It has been moved and seconded that this Honorable Assembly do consider the following convention. Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigation Helsinki on 17 March 1992. Those in favor, please.
With 5 major fish landing sites, 2 lakes, and also those streams that are there. And the activities of sand mining in our area is alarming and is causing a lot of damage to the ecosystems and also the flora and fauna in our area. I think this convention is very timely and it is going to help us. Transboundary water resources is just like transhuman resources that is becoming a problem in the West Africa region. And I think for most of the West African countries, we have these transboundary water lines. And for us in the Gambia, we have the Atlantic Ocean and we have the River Gambia that flows across to the Fouta Djallon Highlands. Honorable Speaker, I think this convention is very timely, and as I said, it's important that we as Gambians, we know the importance of these water flows that we have in our country. Landlocked countries are struggling to get some of these access to these things. So that's why you have countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali coming all the way to the Gambia to get these resources that are helping them to reshape their countries and enable them to help situate themselves to improve the economic values and also the environment. And I think this is very key. The fundamental thing in this is to ensure that whatever we are doing has to be in line with the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. And that is clearly stated, the protection of the environment and ensuring that we do development programs that is going to help the people to ensure the natural resources that they are endowed with are more protected and done. Honorable Speaker, one important thing that your ministry need to look at is the issue of information sharing and also data management in this country. Still, people don't know the importance of these lakes and rivers and also the Atlantic Ocean. And they are not making best use of them to enable them to have the resources that will help them to uplift their economic status and also improve their values and their position in the region where they are. So I think the Gambia, it is about time we have a list of all these lakes that we have in country and also the River Gambia and the tributaries that are linking to the Atlantic Ocean that will help us in this thing. So this one is very clearly stated in the convention. I think that needs to be done. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the issue of monitoring, the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources need to improve on that. Our committee had just gone over to all the fish landing sites in this country. The issue of monitoring at those fish landing sites is becoming a problem. And some of the key things that they have been saying is the lack of the limited number of human resources and the capital incentive nets of the equipment that they have to enable them to do more surveillance in the areas to protect the aquaculture and all those other things is becoming a problem. So I think this is very key and it's going to link us to other international bodies that will be able to do and help us in forming out and coming out with a strategy that is going to help us. So I think, Honorable Minister, your ministry need to do a lot of feasibility studies And these feasibility studies, I keep on saying this thing, we need to ensure that we tap the resources, the knowledge, and also the experience of our local people in the areas where they are. Local content is very key in these things, so that will help them to shape up, and the outcome of those feasibility studies will help us in shaping out and coming up with a strategy that will help us to be able to benefit from signing this convention and be part of a process which is going to help all of us. If you look at the bilateral and multilateral cooperation, which is talking of multifaceted development programs that you are going to partner it. So we need to be able to look at the strengths, weaknesses, and use the opportunities that we have to help us to move further and also benefit, because that's the only way we can do those things. And it is very imperative and important that whatever we are doing, we need to do a SWOT analysis at the level of the ministry and also at the level of the communities, so that we are able to gather better information that will inform us in our planning session. Honorable Speaker, I think, having said that, the other convention that looks at the law of non-navigable and international water courses. For us, the Gambia River is one of the most navigable rivers in this part of West Africa, and I think we need to work on that very closely. We have put a question to the Minister of the Minister of Tourism and Culture, and the last time he's saying that the Gambian River is not navigable because the last study was done 40 years ago. They are going to look at the issue of how navigable the Gambia River can be, so that it can be used for other tourism purposes, and not only tourism but agricultural development and fisheries. And it is also important for your institution, the ministry, to come out with a water bill. In the 5th legislature, these are something that we have been following up with the former Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources. And this bill is being said several times, and you have just mentioned it in your deliberations. So I think we are almost 1/4 way of 2023. We need to ensure that as we deliberate and also sign this and ratify this convention, we need to have a water bill in place that will help us to be able to manage. If you go to this, the expansion of this construction that is going, every 25 meters you have boreholes all over. How do we collate all those things and ensure that proper management is done to keep the underground water in such a way that will enable us to sustain? Because water is being there is sort of water in all the countries, most of the countries. The Gambia, we are endowed, our level is still very high, not as other countries where you have to go 45 meters deep before you can reach the aqueduct to enable you to have water sources. So I think, Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for coming up with these two conventions, and it is timely for the Gambia as a nation. Looking at our situation on the west coast of Africa, we have the two most important natural endowments, that is the Atlantic Ocean and the river. So this will go a long way in shaping the way for us to be able to situate ourselves and help the improvement of our economic status, and also dealing with the most vulnerable members of our committee. Honorable Speaker, I take my seat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kombo South. I now give the floor to the member for Brikama North and Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to join my colleagues to thank the Minister for bringing these important conventions. As the previous speaker rightly alluded, these are long overdue. The first one, that is the Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Water Courses, adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations way back in 21st May 1997. That was the day when the Gambia signed to it. That will be precisely more than 25 years. And then the second one, the Convention on the Protection and the Use of boundary water courses and international lakes, which was signed in Helsinki, 17 March 1992. That is more than 30 years. If that was actually that we were also signatory to, that if member says it's long overdue that we should be ratifying these conventions, indeed they are absolutely right. It is one thing to sign conventions, and ratification is another, and that will lead us to domestication. If we make a commitment to sign, I think we should go further to commit ourselves to ratify so that we can do the domestication as entailed in the importance of the document, which the minister highlighted the significance of signing or ratifying these documents, and also by the honorable members who spoke before me. The Article 5 of the Convention on the Protection and the Use of Transboundary Water Courses and International Lakes, research and development. The parties shall cooperate in the conduct of research into development of effective techniques for the prevention, control, and reduction and transboundary impact on multilateral basis, taking into account research activities pursued in relevant international forums, endeavor to initiate or identify specific research programs where necessary, aimed inter alia at. This is very, very important. That means even whereas we are signatory to the convention, and if we have not ratified, will not be benefiting, especially in